Stocks have been going absolutely crazy, hitting historical all-time highs, and this is happening while crypto continues to remain stale and ultimately doing absolutely nothing. But in this video, I am going to be showing you guys exactly why you need to start paying attention, especially within the next 2 weeks. And I'm also going to be playing a clip from Raoul Paul to really kind of show you guys exactly where we are right now, cyclical wise, and how we are about to make a ton of money off of this next major move. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So like I did say, right, stocks are making all-time highs. The Dow jumps 400 points to a record on Friday. S&P 500 closes above 5,800 for the first time. And yeah, this is historical. Stocks have been going crazy. Gold has been going crazy. We have been watching this while crypto continues to remain stale. And this is also happening while money market funds have a massive amount of money tied to them. For an example, we have retail, $2.6 trillion as of October 9th. Institutional side, roughly almost 3.9 trillion. And these have been changing. I mean, for an example, right? Let's just go back to September 25th. Okay. Retail had roughly $2.573 trillion worth of money in money market funds versus $2.605 trillion. So these are changing. There's a lot more money on the sidelines right now than ever before. $6.47 trillion, just to be specific. This is very interesting. And it's very interesting because of where we are at right now when it comes to crypto. And I even said this, I said, I have a strong feeling that a lot of that money parked in money market funds is about to flood into crypto. Stocks at all-time highs, gold has been surging, and this is happening as the crypto market remains stale since March. Crypto has been lagging, and soon it will play catch-up in a big way. I hope you have prepared accordingly and didn't lose track of the target. And even as we do look at Bitcoin, right, we are still very well in this interesting pattern where it's almost like a flagpole, right? It's a flagpole into consolidation, and we're waiting for this thing to break to the upside. Just to kind of show you guys real quick, we have, the nice little move here, a little bit of a retest before the next expansion, and then we sold off, and now it's just kind of chopping here. But the big thing to focus on is the structure. Okay, so although we are not making a higher high versus the July high or the May high or even the March high, what we are creating here is higher lows going off of the August low. Here we have the first low, the higher low, and I'm hoping to see if this really kind of holds up this week, because if it does, that is very bullish. This could be the start of a very bullish overall structure forming where we do break above this high, retest, ultimately turn it into a floor, and then finally break over those March highs. And this is where we start to see those parabolic moves on Bitcoin to, 80,000 to almost 100,000 and possibly even 120K. Now, I know that a lot of people have been saying like 150, 200. That's possible. But this is where we really start to see that move form. And that's what we have been waiting for. Now, there is also a possibility that we lose this target here right around roughly 58 point, almost like 9K. It's the support zones from April 30th and also May 3rd. If we lose this target, then yeah, I do expect this to drop significantly, maybe even hit about like 55K. There's also a possibility that we wick pretty low to like 53K or even break this structure altogether and create a lower low. Watch closely for that leading into, the second half of October. But I do believe that the second half of October is going to be very bullish. I've outlined that on multiple occasions. Now, also, as Bitcoin is just kind of floating there, doing nothing, waiting for something to happen, we did get the approval of FTX getting their repayments. These are all of the individuals that were affected by FTX. This is the FTX bankruptcy plan approved by the judge, clearing the path to $16 billion in repayments. And the big focus here is stablecoins. It is all in stablecoins. So this money is either going to jump back into this market in a big way, or some of it's probably going to, flow out. But for the most part, I am expecting a lot of this to jump into this space again, which is going to be a very big liquidity injection. And talking about liquidity, at the same exact time, we now have the Fed liquidity surging, and this is just beginning. Net Federal Reserve liquidity has reached around roughly $100 billion over the recent days to kick off quarter four. This comes after a $340 billion drop to end quarter three. I think it is likely this recent surge will generally continue over the coming weeks and months. This is because the Treasury General Account is likely to be spent down somewhat liquidity injection ahead of the U.S. government debt ceiling deadline on January 1st, 2025, judging by historical precedent. Then, if a new debt ceiling agreement isn't immediately reached, likely, the Treasury General Account balance will probably decrease further through early 2025. More liquidity. All good news for liquidity in general, with the People's Bank of China also starting to inject cash into money markets over recent weeks. I expect this likely to continue. And yes, just recently, China issued 2.3 trillion yuan in a special bonds to boost stalling economy. The two previous periods that saw sizable liquidity additions from both the Fed and the PBOC simultaneously were around January to April of 2023 and around October of 2023 to February of 2024. And we all know how the price in this market were affected by this. It was very bullish. Both periods saw strong asset price appreciation, but particularly gold and Bitcoin. I will try to put together a long thread with my detailed thoughts for quarter four Fed liquidity next week. And this is very big when we really look at what Raoul Paul is also expecting. Check this out.
Yeah. So as I've been talking about for a while, I think we're in that transition from macro crypto spring into macro crypto summer. Now, people confuse it with the actual season itself. I just saw that on Twitter. I'm like, no. It's because it breaks down to 4 periods of the liquidity cycle that drives assets. So the transition here is usually when the forces are still disinflationary and growth is slow to picking up. That is like macro utopia. Why? Because that tends to push the central banks into adding liquidity and the governments to adding liquidity. It also happens to be this everything code cycle is also about the election cycle. And guess what politicians do at this time as well? They want to give candy to the kids. So they're stimulating as well and tend to stimulate into the following year as well. So that particular juncture of the macro starting to pick up, the ISM survey is still below 50. So it's still sluggish. The forward-looking indicators are all very positive and liquidity has been positive for a while. That pickup, if you think of it, we've had a Wall Street recovery, which is liquidity. Main Street recovery is yet to happen. Main Street is when earnings go up, and all of our earnings go up, and there's a bit more money around. That's when the flows from all of these earnings start going into markets as well. So it's not just liquidity and debasement driving things, it gets driven by actual investment money, which has been actually quite lacking in many respects. So that's typical of the crypto summer. So the crypto summer starts around now. It also forms the basis of the banana zone. And that's when things start to get really crazy. If we go back and look at all of these, since about 2008, they've all done roughly the same thing, which is presidential election cycle. It kind of has a sell-off into the summer. Then it tends to accelerate sideways over the election because everyone doesn't know what it means. And then it's all over, markets rip. Whatever the outcome, a shock, expected result doesn't matter. And so that election cycle has been very prevalent both in equities and in crypto. So that's where we are in the cycle now. So we're just in that zone of, we've got this beautiful chart pattern that is just consolidating. The stuff that has less network traction or network adoption has fallen significantly. But we're starting to see the recovery. So I think it's only a matter of time now before we start to see the next move. And that's also likely to coincide with some other liquidity things. I think the Japanese have to.
So yeah, I mean, listen, the next 2 weeks in October, in my opinion, is going to be very, very bullish. And I also think that this is the time where you really want to start paying attention and starting to prepare. especially with all of these liquidity injections and the overall outlook on liquidity as well. When we think about all of this, yeah, this is going to cause the banana zone. This is going to cause significant appreciation in this market for a lot of these assets. And as we do look at Bitcoin, right, don't lose focus of what happens beyond Bitcoin, because this is going to most likely be the last major surge on Bitcoin before we start to see alt season, which is almost like it's a term that is now very short-lived because nobody thinks that's going to happen, which is very good because this happened back in, roughly October, November, and even December of 2020. And I'm sure if you guys did experience 2021, then you know that alt season after was very, very exciting. And even as we do look at, others' dominance, I am expecting this thing to surge up to this next point here around roughly 12.11% to about 12.52% off of these lows of roughly 10.3%, which is going to be very bullish for a lot of altcoins. And as we do look at the 3-week, let me actually just, so stay focused on this trend line, because this trend line is what we really want to focus on here. Every single time that we have come down to this trend line and retested it since going all the way back to August of 2019, what we see is a significant push off of those lows. And that is typically where we start to see altcoins outperforming Bitcoin and moving significantly. And I do expect that to happen this time around as well, because we just had those lows back in July, retest it, we tapped the trend line, and now we are just waiting for the big move to the upside. Now, this will most likely happen over the next couple weeks because this is the 3-week chart. But if we go all the way back to 2019, it looks very, very similar. Back in August, it tapped this perfectly. Then it started to trail to the upside. And this happened all the way through into October of 2020 before Bitcoin went on a tear. And then, of course, alt season did officially begin at the end of December into January. Are we at that point of August of 2019? Or are we at the point of December of 2020? It's definitely interesting to see where Bitcoin is right now, which is, just under its all-time highs of 2021. I expect us to be at that same point of roughly the fall to almost wintertime of 2020, where altcoins, in my opinion, are next up to have that big move to the upside, which is why I say, prepare now for, altcoins to absolutely rip. Make sure that you are averaging in when we start to see significant drops in the market. Not every single red day is a buy-in day. It's when we start to see significant fear in the market. We see these significant moves down to the lows, these candle wicks, where it's all right, the floor is falling out from under us. We don't know how low we're going to go. Typically, that's where you want to start kind of averaging in a little bit. But don't just splurge your capital. Make sure that you still have stable coins on the sidelines to buy those significant wicks when and if we do see them. So with that being said, to really kind of summarize things, as stocks are going crazy, as gold is still going crazy, crypto is still sitting stagnant, crypto has to play catch up. And when it does play catch up, it is going to be very, very fast. It's going to be violent and it's going to be volatile. So you want to make sure that you are prepared now, not only just, holding altcoins and, holding some things, but also preparing emotionally, physically, because emotions are the biggest things that trap people when we start to see significant moves to the upside. So make sure that you are prepared. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.